if you are boosting posts.
People buy with emotion, the reason with logic.
Misconceptions in the wedding industry that Facebook ads simply do not work.
But you can't do that when you're boosting a post.
Do you want to reach more people? Boost this post.
To find people who are most likely to become a lead.
I absolutely love that, by the way.
When you said that, I loved it because it's just so true.
And we'll let the Facebook algorithm do its job.
This is an efficient content delivery system.
And find the audience that you need to be in front of. And that's why the Thunderdome system is so powerful.
The reason that that's a terrible idea.
It is an absolute ego killer.
I'm not really interested in being right. I just want to find the right answer.
How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the Get Seen, Get Booked marketing podcast for wedding photographers and videographers. You guys are in for a treat today because you are with just me and Jamie. Jamie, how you doing, mate?
All good, mate. All good. Excited to dive into this ads episode.
Yeah, I think this is one that we get requested quite a lot, is if we can talk about ads when we're doing the podcast. And I know a lot of the Facebook Lives that we do is heavily based around Facebook ads because there are a lot of misconceptions in the wedding industry that Facebook ads simply do not work. And we've obviously developed a system and we have proven strategies that do work. And in today's episode, what we want to do is we want to share those strategies with you guys, but also share some of the misconceptions that you might be doing, or even some of the mistakes that you might be doing that is preventing you from not only generating leads, getting bookings as a whole, when couples are looking at your social media content, going to your website, because we do need to understand that customer journey. So that's what we're going to dive into today. So Jamie, let's kick off with some common misconceptions about Facebook ads in the wedding industry. Where do you want to start, mate?
Yeah, I think it's important to start at the where people, how people most commonly lose money trying to run ads to get more bookings as a wedding photographer and wedding videographer. There's a lot of questions in our group about these kind of things, and we want to go into it. I think that the boosting posts is still a bit a heavily so what I'm looking for, like a go-to strategy, because it feels like a quick fix, but really it's not. And the reason for that is because boosting a post doesn't optimize your ads to find someone that is likely to become a lead. And that's the difference to Ads Manager. So through Ads Manager, we're creating ads that optimize it to find people using the Facebook algorithm, to find people who are most likely to become a lead. The way that the algorithm knows this is because it tracks people on all of the websites that have got a Facebook pixel on. Facebook pixel is just a bit of code that fires events when people land on certain pages, perform certain actions, and when someone is engaging with wedding content, whether it be through wedding venues, florists, whatever it might be, wedding dress shops, all that kind of stuff, and visiting their websites, the algorithm knows, right, this person is interested in wedding stuff. And they're also might be becoming leads on them other sites as well, or adding things to the cart on a wedding website, or doing all this. The algorithm tracks this, it knows this, and therefore it will serve ads, your ads when optimized to leads, to the people who are most likely to become a lead based on their actions. But you can't do that when you're boosting a post. Boosting a post is literally just, if you're shoveling dirt, you're just giving yourself a bigger shovel. It's just not. It's just, you're just throwing more spaghetti against the wall. Spaghetti was the political term I used there.
Yeah, we can always beep it out. We've obviously reviewed a lot of wedding photographers and wedding videographers ad accounts, like people inside of the Wedding Business Accelerator, people inside of the Get Seen, Get Booked Facebook group, when they've posted the analytics and data. And the majority of people do start off by boosting posts because they'll get that message on the phone saying, do you want to reach more people? Boost this post for £10 a day. And the biggest mistake that people make with this is, and you touched on this a little bit, is that they'll select a traffic campaign or link clicks because they'll think, right, I want to get more websites to me. I want to get more visitors to me websites, or I want to get more engagement on me ad, or I want to get people actually clicking on the ad. And I can totally understand, like people's logic if you haven't got experience within Facebook ads. Like I totally
Yeah.
get why people do this. It's like, right, I'm going to get more people on my website. I'm going to go for traffic. But when we're optimizing Facebook ads, you always want to optimize with the end goal in mind, which in our case, in the wedding industry, is always leads. So you've got to make sure that if you don't want to boost post at all, you want to be setting up your ads, like Jamie said, in the back end of the ads manager. This is how we do it. And if you listen to this and you're running ads now and you're boosting post and you're running traffic campaigns, you need to go and check out our Thunderdome system. There's a video on YouTube. But
There'll be a
we're
link in
going
the
to get
comments, right, in the description.
yeah,
We'll link
yeah,
it up in
yeah.
the show notes.
Yeah, we can put the link in the show notes. But we're going to get into it today. We're going to talk to you about it. We really want to show you how it can work and the ways it works for the people that we've actually worked with.
Yeah, and I think it's important to go over that, like the logic of, I want to get more. I'm gonna run a traffic campaign because I want more traffic to my website so that they become leads.
Yeah.
But what you don't want to optimize for that front end because it's not looking for people that are going to become leads. It's just looking for anybody that might click on your website. We need to optimize for the end goal in mind, not the beginning goal.
Yeah, just before we move on, because I don't want to spend the whole episode talking about boosting posts when we don't boost posts, we do it properly.
Yeah.
I've just seen the update that's recently been released where Apple users, if you pay for boosted posts using Apple Pay, you're going to be charged 30% extra. So here's another reason to get yourself in the back end of Facebook and set your business manager up, get your business suite and your ads manager set up, and do it properly because you're going to save yourself 30% if you've been paying on Apple Pay.
That is wild. That's hilarious.
I think TikTok already do this, I think
Oh, really?
TikTok already pass on 30% because I was reading the thread about it and people were saying, yeah, if you pay on Apple Pay on TikTok, TikTok already passed the 30% charge over. I'll have to look into that. Don't quote me on that. But it is something that I've read. So what other mistakes have we seen people make when
Yeah.
running ads? What else have you seen? What's a common mistake?
I think this might even be it's neck and neck for me for this being with boosted post or traffic campaigns is starting your ad out with either talking about yourself in terms of award-winning wedding videographer, award-winning photographer in whatever your area is, in South London, whatever it might be, or starting with discounts and thinking that you've got
Yeah.
to do that to stand out and grab attention. The reason that that's a terrible, terrible idea is because people, just the psychology of humans, people buy with emotion, then reason with logic, which means that we need to trigger an emotion. And it doesn't matter what your accolade is. If you start your ad out by talking about yourself, you short circuit any emotion. Nobody's going to feel an emotion towards their wedding day when you tell them something about yourself. No, it's not going to happen. Same goes for a massive discount or an immediate price thing. If that's the first thing they see, again, emotion is short circuited. We need to hook them in with emotion first. Then down the line, then when they try to reason that buying decision with logic, your accolades, your rewards, all of that kind of stuff, any offers you've got going on, although you still shouldn't be discounting, you should just be improving your offer. That comes into play in the logic portion. So emotion comes first, logic comes second. So we need to hook them in with emotion. That means running content, running ads, creating posts, content and ads around emotion and emotional parts of the wedding day that the bride and groom perceive as their dream outcome. So they're perceiving that as, I want this for my wedding day. And we need to run ads around those moments, around the content that you've already got of weddings that you've already shot. And showing your competence in being able to deliver that. But also when you do that, it displays authority at the same time.
Yeah. And I feel like this always sounds like harsh when we say this in the groups, right? But it's just true. And it's not just in wedding industry. This is just business in general. That people do not care who you are. Like, unless you're like in the top 1% with like a massive following, you're like a household name and you are fairly famous, people just simply don't care who you are. So in the first instance, you need to demonstrate that you can do the job that you say that you're going to do. Then they're going to have a look at who you are after. And like, I don't want to get sidetracked and talking about people's websites, but one of the things that you talk about in an ad there that people talk about themselves, and they might start off with like, I'm an award-winning photographer or videographer in this area. It's like, yeah, no one cares about that. Like, and it's such a diluted message in the wedding industry because every single person's won some sort of award at some point, and it's like it doesn't really hold much value, in my opinion. You're much better off, and this is what we're going to get into when we talk about our Thunderdome system running ads. But just to give you a little taster of it, you're much better off talking about parts of the day what you're going to do for the couple. So things like relive every moment of your wedding day is so much more powerful than saying I'm an award-winning photographer from South Shields, who's offering a 30% discount. But get this, I'm also nearly booked, so be quick. So like
Yeah.
these sort of things, like you need
No
to think
emotion.
about it. Yeah, and there's no emotion at all. You've got to put yourself in the brides and grooms, the couple's shoes when they're getting married. Put yourself in their shoes when they read your post. Are they getting excited? Is there an emotional buy-in? Or are you just outright selling to them when they've got no idea who you are? And this is simply one of the biggest mistakes that people make in the wedding industry, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Got to hit that emotional chord.
Yeah. And the pricing one is honestly, like I've talked about many times on the Facebook Lives, when I've done that task where I'll interact with loads of different wedding photographers and videographers. I'll start to get bombarded with Facebook ads, and I screenshotted 20 ads, and 19 of the ads were all price. Book me now from 495, 25, 30% off. I'm also nearly full, so you need to be quick. That message, people just scroll straight past it. It doesn't work.
And
So
yeah,
go
I was
for
just
it.
going to say, I think that's another important point is that you will never be trying to be the cheapest as a race to the bottom. And it also, the second that you mention price or start with price, instantly means that it's the only way to compare you against anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's the only comparison that people hold in their mind, which
Yeah.
means that if somebody comes in £100 cheaper, which they're very likely to do because there are people doing it for cheaper than most people can do it because competition is heavy, people are just looking for experience, all of that kind of stuff. Um, you're just going to absolutely massively lose out on work. So it needs to be you've got to start with that emotional hook and make sure that you're stamping your authority on that as well.
There's another massive problem with pricing as well, and kind of on the flip side, like if you start too cheap on your pricing, but let's just say you charge £1,500, and then you're like, right, packages start from £1,500, and then someone has a budget of like 1,200. They see your ad, and then they automatically write you off straight away because it's like, oh, it's too expensive. But if you start serving them loads of content and interacting with your content, and they're getting excited about having you as a wedding photographer and videographer, and you haven't led with price and they don't know how much you charge, they've bought into having you at their wedding. They're like, right, Jamie's the guy that I want to have at my wedding. He's the
Mhm.
photographer that I want at my wedding. It's like when they find out the price and it's, oh, right, I've got a budget of 1,250 or 1,200. How do I find the extra money to book Jamie rather than writing you off in the first instance saying he's too
Yeah,
expensive? So
yeah,
pricing's never ever a good way to lead in with any of your ads on social media.
yeah. And I think a good way to think about this as well is that think about all of your competition, every other photographer or videographer, whichever one you are. Think about, there's I think there's a famous image of like black and white umbrellas and one red umbrella. You need to be that one red umbrella that stands out. And the other thing that you have to remember is that not only are brides and grooms on average looking at 3 to 5 photographers and or videographers, so there was that immediate competition, but if they're seeing your content and your ads, they're also seeing all of your competition's content and ads because that's how the algorithm works. That's the point. It's trying to give them a better experience. It's trying to show them the best for their needs. So
Mm.
whatever your ad is, they are all already seeing £300 off, 30% discount, award-winning photographer, award. They're already seeing all of this stuff. So you become completely drowned out in the noise. But now all of a sudden, if you start your ad with, "I'll never forget the look on my dad's face when he see me in my wedding dress. I'll treasure this moment for the rest of my life." That's boom. I'm in. I'm hooked. You know what I mean? But the idea is, and we're going to get to this in a second. Maybe a good way to bridge into it, but that's what the Thunderdome essentially is in terms of building multiple emotional moments because on average, people are going to need more than one touch point. No one's going to see one Instagram post, one ad, and go, "Yep, that's them done. Happy days." They're probably they might see 2 or 3 pieces of content, ads, inquire, probably ghost you for a little bit, as they inquire with others, because they're not just going to inquire with you; they're going to inquire with other photographers and videographers. So whilst they're inquiring with others, you want to make sure that they're seeing your content of these emotional moments, and that's going to be the thing that sways them. Is that right? This person can deliver the moments that I want because I've seen them do it for so many other people.
I absolutely love that, by the way, though. Like, if you're running Facebook ads, they're 100% seeing your competitors' ads, and I just love that saying, because what are you doing to make yourself stand out? Because, like you said, they're already seeing the 30% off, starting from 495, nearly full booked. So, what are you doing to stand out from the crowd? How are you being that red umbrella, like you've just said? Just before we move across onto the Thunderdome, one thing that I want to just touch on is, like, because there is a huge misconception in the wedding industry that Facebook ads can't book wedding photographers or wedding videographers, or simply if you can book them through Facebook ads, it's always low ticket. So one thing that I've absolutely noticed just of speaking to so many people in the industry is that it's always Facebook ads, or we should be calling it meta ads. Well, we're saying Facebook ads because we're so used to it, but it's meta ads. But people are so quick to jump at the fact if they're running ads and they don't get bookings to say Facebook ads don't work. And it's simply not true, because you're blaming Facebook ads when it could be your website, it could be your sales process, it could be your follower process. The job of the Facebook ad isn't to sell your products as a wedding photographer, videographer. It's to get people interested and then to move that traffic from Facebook across to your website. And then you need to have a website or a landing page that converts. So, and this is what we'll get into in the Thunderdome system. But I just wanted to get that point in, that a lot of people blame Facebook regardless of where they've fallen down in the process or the funnel. Oh, it's always Facebook's fault because I'm running ads. But we said on a live the other day, didn't we, that like, oh, no one ever comes back from a wedding fair and say, wedding fairs don't work.
I was
Oh,
just
I've
about
just
to
dropped.
say that when you said that, I loved it because it's just so true. People will spend, I mean, there is free wedding fairs. People will spend a few £100 at wedding fairs, like you said, not not go there, get no bookings, but talk to a lot of people so they feel like they've done something. They'll get 0 bookings from it, and they'll just be like, oh, move on to the next one, pay another 250 quid to go to this next one, or 500 quid, some of them are a fortune. But they'll spend 50 quid on Facebook ads and be like, nope, that doesn't work.
Mm-hmm.
It's
And
so strange.
And now I just want to touch on like some of the results like on Facebook ads that we've seen. So like I actually scaled the above the action business. That's how I filled my calendar. Like I'm quite open that I only shoot about 15 weddings a year. Last year I filled that 15 up very quickly. This year I'm almost at me 15 already. And people inside of the Wedding Business Accelerator there's people in there who've almost 20x'd the income. Like
Over
there's a
20x for sure.
more than 20. There's a couple in there
Yeah.
in the Wedding Business Accelerator who not only filled out this year, they almost filled for next year. And then there was someone who joined the program recently. And what were the results that you were seeing before when we were talking?
Yeah, she spent £450 and booked over £10,000 worth of wedding bookings. That's
Yeah.
about a 22x return using the Thunderdome system.
Hmm. And it's not like we're not saying that this Thunderdome system is like the way that if you spend money, you are absolutely guaranteed to get
Yeah.
Facebook leads. Because remember, the job of the Facebook ads, right, is to grab attention, get people's attention, wanting to see more, get them across to your website. There's a full flow. But by running the Thunderdome system, basically you're giving yourself the best chance of moving that traffic. And it's such an important message to remember. The job of the Facebook ads are not to sell
Mhm.
your wedding services, it's to get people interested. So
Yeah.
let's get into it, Jamie, right? So what is the Thunderdome system? Can you give everyone a good explanation of what it is?
Yeah. So the Thunderdome system is basically inside of Ads Manager on Meta, which is, delivers ads to Facebook and Instagram. It's a campaign structure, which is the most efficient structure that we've been able to develop. We use this for our marketing agency clients that are spending up to, $250,000 a month on ads. And that's how we've got them that way. They're up to that kind of level of spend using this system. Now, basically what it is Inside of meta ads, you've got 3 levels. You've got a campaign level. Inside of a campaign, there are ad sets, which is basically just your audience. And then inside of each ad set, you've got your ad. Now, with the something that is a feature inside of the ad sets is something called dynamic creative, which means what you can do instead of creating several different ads and taking all that time, you can just make one ad and upload several images or videos as well as several pieces of copy and headlines and stuff like that. So what we do inside the Thunderdome system is that we set the budget at the campaign level so that the algorithm makes the decision of which ad set or ad sets to distribute the budget on. Now, the optimization for the campaign, the algorithm will optimize the campaign and decide where to spend it based on highest volume, lowest cost, which is what it's going after. So it will distribute spend with that in mind. Now, the big mistake what a lot of people make and how they burn money is they set the budget not at the campaign level, they set it at the ad set level. And what that does is means that every idea that you come up with needs its own budget. But that is in a sense, that's an old strategy that we were doing 5-6 years ago and hasn't worked since then. It's not efficient because you constantly need more money and more money and more money, and that's how people lose it. When we move the budget from ad set over a campaign, we will never be smarter than the algorithm. Like no group of people can be smarter than this algorithm with trillions of data points, and I mean trillions. So what that does is that it allows us to make ad sets of different concepts, meaning emotional moments. So, for example, it could be a dad seeing his daughter in her dress for the first time. Another could be a groom's first reaction. Another could be a confetti shot. Another could be a fireworks shot. So we've got all these moments living inside this campaign. And the algorithm using the campaign budget and based on its what it calls estimated action rate. So it takes the engagements that it's getting. It also the algorithm and which now has AI layered on top of it. Meta's artificial intelligence can also predict outcomes as well. So it serves the concepts and the ads to people with highest volume of leads for the lowest cost in mind. And the algorithm will determine the budget and what works. And what we need to do is come up with these moments, continually create new moments until we have a lead cost that is viable. When you have if you're starting out, the best thing you can do is start with 2 concepts. Reason for this is because you will find a winner. So if I've got a dad reveal ad in there and I've also got a confetti shot in there, one of those is going to win. When that one wins, it sets a bit of a benchmark in the campaign because anything else that you add to it in terms of a concept, the algorithm knows that only spend money on this new thing if it can get or is likely to get better results than what is already happening. That is the campaign structure, and that is why it's so efficient because you don't need more budget. If you're running, you can start this with £10-20 a day. The person that we're talking about that spent £450 and booked over 10 grand in weddings, she did this on a £10 a day budget. So it's not, while £10 a day isn't optimal, it's because it's just going to take longer. And sometimes time can feel like it's taking too long, but time isn't. Impressions are what's important. So if you spend £20 a day, you're going to get results twice as quick as £10 a day. So it's not a time thing. It's not like a time scale. So yeah, that's basically the structure of that campaign. And then what we also do is pull out the best versions of those concepts. So again, to break it down, within those ads, we use dynamic creative. So let's just talk about a dad reveal to try and simplify it because I'm aware it can be quite confusing if you just listen to this. So inside of that dad reveal, we use something called a 3-2-2 method, which is getting a little bit more popular, but we've used it for almost 2 years now.
Yeah.
So what that is it means 3 creatives, 2 pieces of copy, and 2 headlines on your ad. So, for example, if I've got a dad reveal concept, I might have 3 different dad reveal moments, all cut and edited in the same way. Or it could be the same dad reveal, but with text overlay, testing different headlines over the actual ad, like text on the video is what I mean by headlines there. And then I've got 2 different pieces of copy. So one could be starting out with an emotional hook, or the other one could be starting out with a stakes style hook, as in like imagine if you missed it, whatever it is. And then 2 different headlines again that have got 2 different purposes, so that when you have a winner, you know why it's won. And then when we create our next ads, that gives us a direction to move in. And then inside of that campaign, we're going to have all of these different emotional moments set in the same way. Inside of that 3-2-2 method, that gives us 12 ads, and that's the maximum we want, because 3 times 2 times 2, that's 12 different variations of the 3 creatives, 2 copies, 2 headlines. One of those 12 ads, one of those 12 variations is going to be better than all the rest of them. When that concept starts to get expensive, we remove that post ID, remove that ad, and isolate it into its own ad set inside the Thunderdome method. But that's something I'm going to suggest that you watch the YouTube tutorial on of us walking you through that, because that will get extremely confused and try to talk it through. I hope I haven't been too confusing in this, and I hope I've tried to explain it as clearly as I had. Is there anything that I need to clarify on that?
No, I don't think there's anything that you need to clarify on that. I mean, it might be a bit confusing when you're listening to it, but when you're going through and looking at the YouTube video that we've created, it's going to really help you set up, rather than just you boost and post. It's literally a step-by-step walkthrough on how you can create the ads. And it's just the way that we are delivering content to people when they're on Meta, when they're on Facebook, when they're on Instagram. But one of the most popular questions that we get inside of the Wedding Business Accelerator, inside of the Get Seen, Get Booked Facebook group is, why do you target broad? And what we do is, when we're running the Thunderdome system, and we're just going back to the audience section, we don't select any interests. We just select the location and the age, and we'll let the Facebook algorithm do its job. And we always get asked questions like, well, why don't you target people who's interested in wedding photography or wedding videography, or people who are interested in wedding dresses or wedding venues? And Facebook stopped writing code for interest-based targeting years ago. But not only that, there's loads of data out there that suggests that there's a huge percentage of people who are incorrectly pooled as well. But not only that, let's say you start to want to target wedding photography or wedding videography. You're going to start getting a lot of other wedding photographers and wedding videographers are going to start seeing your ads. Whereas the way the Facebook algorithm works, and you kind of touched on this, Jamie, at the beginning of this episode, is Facebook's going to start serving you content based on what type of content you've been engaging with. So there's no need to select interests anymore, because if I've been looking at wedding photographers or wedding videographers or wedding venues, Facebook's going to go, right, I know that Billy is interested in wedding content, so I'm going to start pushing that sort of content to him. This is how the Facebook algorithm works, and it's got millions and millions of data points. Facebook's tracking you do stuff like that you don't even realize that you're doing. You might be scrolling so fast and you stop on a couple of wedding pieces of content, and you haven't even registered yourself that you've stopped on it, just because you'll stop, and then what's the word I'm looking for? Like, it's a bit like, not brain dumb. What's the word I'm looking for? When you're just scrolling and you're not really thinking about what you're doing, you're just kind of losing time. And
Doom scrolling.
What's that?
People call it doom scrolling.
Doom scrolling, yeah. So when you're doom scrolling, and you'll be stopping on ads and content, and that you don't even realize that you're doing, but Facebook knows that you're doing it, and the algorithm's tracking this. So then it's like, right, okay, Billy wants wedding content. So that's why when I mentioned earlier on, when I'd done the task of screenshotting 20 different wedding videography and photography ads, it's because I purposely went on a lot of different photographers and videographers' websites, let the Facebook pixel pick up what I'm doing, then it's going to start serving me ads. I regularly do this task just so I can have a look at what people are actually doing. So that it is a question we get asked a lot about interest-based targeting, but you don't want to do this. You want to go completely broad. Your creatives, so your videos and your images, your concepts, which are your videos and your images and videos, is what in your ad copy is what is the most important thing. You've got to get people interested. Now, when we are talking here And let's just talk about video creatives, because even photographers should be utilizing videos now. Like, there's some brilliant examples of photographers using videos to capture interest, then move them across to the website. But a huge problem I see when people are running Facebook ads is that, let's say a videographer will have a show reel. They'll run that show reel. They'll start from a black fade in. The logo will come on the screen. They'll have their name plastered right across the front of it. And it's like 10 to 15 seconds before we even see a bride or a groom or any indication that it's a wedding that we're actually looking at. Sometimes it's 10 to 15 seconds. You've got less than 3 seconds to grab people's attention. So this is why it's really important that you come up, when you're running the Thunderdome system, with multiple concepts. So like Jamie said, it might be the dad reveal. It might be the confetti shot. It might be the groom reaction. It might be a mashup of all of those above. But you'll get to a point where all of those 4 different ads are actually running. Now, this is where you get a huge advantage over people who are just boosting posts, people who are just running with price in the headlines, or people who are just running a show reel, because most people are only running one ad. So Facebook might serve me your show reel day 1, day 3, day 4, day 6, day 7. By the time I get to day 4 and day 7, I'm absolutely sick of seeing the same creative from you. It gets boring. I'm sick of seeing it. And I see it all of the time. And I just scroll past it. I can't scroll off it quick enough because I already know what's happening.
Yeah.
So when you're running the Thunderdome system, our Thunderdome system, what'll happen is, it doesn't work exactly like this, but it'll just help with the understanding. On day 1, Facebook might serve you the confetti shot. Day 2, it might serve you that confetti shot again. Day 4, it might serve you a dad reveal. Day 5, it might be the groom reaction. Day 6, it might be back to the confetti. Day 7 might be a mashup out of all. Now, you can see straight away how you're going to build up that trust, the rapport, and the relationship, and get people excited about you as a wedding videographer, photographer, if they're getting multiple touch points, but multiple different creatives. And this is why the Thunderdome system is genius, because it serves out the right piece of content at the right time. And Jamie, one thing I'd like you to kind of get into, because I know that you explain this really well, is how Facebook can serve certain ads at the right time. So people might think that the ad that's getting all of the leads is the best performing one. And yes, it obviously is, but they might want to switch off ads that have had no leads, but it still might be grabbing a lot of attention. Can you just jump into that a little bit about how the ads are served out and the way it works?
Yeah. So this is something that a lot of advertisers haven't adopted yet, but it's something that I've rigorously tested and tried to come up with an answer, because for me, I'm the type of person that I'm not really interested in being right. I just want to find the right answer. I just want to find the truth. Um, so I trust the data. Yes, I've got things that I think are going to do well, and sometimes if I work harder on a piece of content, which is a lot of times what you'll get in, especially videography, like um, if you work hard on a video and it doesn't work, it's really disheartening. So you got to try and remove emotion. It's more, you got to try and look at the data and follow the direction it's giving you through the data. Um, but so one of the things in advertising and marketing, and I'm sure most people have probably heard of this, is a funnel system called top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel. And massive agencies and marketing companies still run this on Facebook ads, on Meta ads, on Facebook and Instagram. But it's pretty much a dead campaign structure for most, because every impression that you have is basically a retargeting impression, because people are either especially in the wedding industry, people aren't they're not cold. Once they're engaged, they're not cold because they know that they need the service, especially photography. But they're already seeing others. The likelihood that you are the first photographer or videographer to serve them an ad is very low, very, very low. So every impression that you do is likely a retarget impression. Now, if you have, this is where it kind of breaks down these marketing agencies, top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel campaign structures, because they'll have an individual campaign for each stage. Now, if you've got a top of funnel, which means like you're trying to serve the first impressions to an audience, if that frequency is over 1.00, then that is not top of funnel anymore. That is now retargeting. So it's also middle of funnel. And we audit ad accounts that have got top of funnel frequencies of 1.50, which would mean 50% of that audience have seen an ad twice or more. 2.2 on that sometimes. So, but with the Thunderdome system, the algorithm creates its own funnel because the algorithm knows, not just based on your ads, but based on where these individual people are that serving impressions to, where they are roughly in their journey. How many other photographer websites have they been on? Videographer websites have they been on? And how many in general does a person take? How many impressions and website visits does it take for somebody to become a lead and trigger the lead event on this type of website? It knows all of these data points, which we will never ever have access to. So, for example, we'll see campaigns that are running at, $3,000 a day for agency clients, but some ad sets are getting, you know, $3,000 a day throughout a week. 3 times 7, that's 20. That's 21,000 dollars a week. But some of them through that week are getting $800 in spend, but they are 50%, 75% cheaper than the ones that are getting all the spend because it's highest volume, lowest cost. It means that I can get ads for a much lower cost, but not the volume, so you can keep them running there. So frequency in a campaign is a good indication of how the algorithm is treating your ad and where it's serving it to people. So these super low campaigns, for example, if you're running £20 a day and you've spent £140 on a week, you might see that in that week, one ad set, this typically happens with image ads, one ad set is, it might have over that, from that £120, it might have, £30 in spend maybe, but it's got a frequency of 2.3, 2.5, sometimes a little bit higher, because it's serving that low amount of spend to a very particular group of people for a very particular reason. It's not trying to find new people with them. It's serving it to these people. It's creating its own marketing funnel. And that's where we've seen a massive success, is getting out of the way. Stop trying to be the person that takes credit. Like as a marketing agencies try to do that all of the time. They'll come to businesses and be like, I've done that. They'll try to take credit in the wrong ways so that they get another month's fee out of this business. But the thing is to not try to take over and control the algorithm. It's to give it as much ammunition as possible and get out of the way and let it do its job. And we'll do our job in the form of creating better ads.
I want to go back to that point about don't get too disheartened about your content, because it is an absolute ego killer. You could spend like
It's an ego crusher.
yeah, ego crusher. You could spend like a full day on an edit, and then you think this is the best ad in the world. I've smashed this wedding show reel. It's going to go live. I'm going to get all this engagement. I'm going to get all these leads, only for Facebook to kill those dreams. And then you create an ad that maybe took you 10 minutes to edit, and then that one outperforms it. I've seen it so many times.
Yep.
I've had my own heart crushed by doing this. I remember when I was doing some video content, I'd spent ages editing with captions, things popping up, B-roll coming in. It didn't perform, and I'd done a quick video walking outside, and that done way better. So now I've just learned, do not get attached to your content, because Facebook will put you in your place very, very quickly. But this is why the Thunderdome system is so important, because you can just start smashing out the different concepts from a wedding. Just think about all of the different key moments from a wedding, chop that up. And the beauty is, being in the wedding industry, right? We have to edit this content anyway, because it's our job. It's what we have to deliver. So it's so easy for us to capture content for social media and to run ads. It's just a case of getting into a routine and a workflow. And I mean, for this topic, like how to book weddings faster, like with the Thunderdome Facebook ad system, like we could actually go on and probably talk about 10 hours straight about all the different areas that you need to focus on. So we're probably going to break it down into future podcasts where we're looking at lead cost and data and CPA and how to make decisions on your ads, because really what we wanted to do here today was introduce you into the Thunderdome system and just kind of understand that if you are boosting posts, that the chances are that you are really wasting money. And I suppose if you're boosting posts, like, you're always going to get that person who says, well, I boosted posts and it worked, because it's just like casting a really wide net and hoping that you catch something. Yes, it will work sometimes because people are seeing your content. However, it's not optimized and it's not efficient, and you definitely can't scale it. So this is why you've got to set up, the best way of doing it is by setting up our Thunderdome system. And we do have a YouTube video walking you through step by step. So go and have a look at it. And if you want to start running ads, this is definitely the best way of doing it. We've got
And I,
proof that it actually works.
and I think disclaimer wise, this is not this Thunderdome system. The way that it works is that it is the most efficient use of your money, because you don't constantly need new money you don't need to spend more money every ad set. The only time you increase your budget is when it's already working. So that the efficiency in not wasting money is one of the most powerful ways that it works. The second way is that it is set up. The system itself is designed in a way to force you to create ads around emotional moments and not just information. Like all of this um, emotion, and not, we want to start with emotion, not logic. We don't want to create ads around your rewards, your accolades, anything about you. Not I am a try to remove the word I or we. You have to the system itself kind of forces you to come up with them moments. Now, as a disclaimer, not everybody who will launch it, if you set up the Thunderdome system, it doesn't mean you're going to get 20x like some of our students have got. There are some of our students that have got 2x, 3x, 4x, 5x, which are still amazing results. But this is an efficient content delivery system that is going to kind of force you to make better ads. But that's the key. You have to make better ads, and your show reels are not ads that are social media content. People don't come on Facebook to watch videos that start with the first 2 seconds of a black screen and slow music and a voiceover of the ceremony, which everybody seems to do now, by the way. It's just like it starts with like a slow opening shot with a voiceover ceremony. Side note, side plug, go and listen to our last episode with Emma about storytelling on show reels and videography. But you've got people don't want to do that on social media. They're not in the mindset to sit and watch those pieces of content. They're in the mindset to watch short, entertaining clips that will give them a dopamine hit. That's what scrolling is. That's what that doom scrolling is. But that's it. So we have to create ads that people want to see. Like, the platforms are popular because of the content that is on there.
Mm-hmm.
So the system itself kind of forces you to do that. But just by deploying a Thunderdome system, basically put, if you put a bunch of crap ads into the Thunderdome system, it probably won't work.
Yeah.
It's going to give you an efficient spend over your crap ads, but you've got to learn how to make better ads. And if you're not already a part of the Get Seen, Get Booked wedding group, the free Facebook group, that's where you can start to learn better. We go live there every Wednesday at 12 p.m. And there'll be a link in the show notes to join that group as well. But yeah, that's where you need to start. You need to focus on making ads that are optimized to guide people towards becoming a lead.
One thing I want to touch on, right, about the Thunderdome system is it's not unique this isn't a unique system that we've developed just for the wedding industry. Like, oh, look at this unique system that we've developed for wedding photographers and videographers. We run this exact system on the ad account that spends $250,000 a year. And it's because sorry, of course, a month, 200, $250,000 a month. Sorry, my bad. And
2.5 million a year.
yeah, like it's crazy, and it's not because, and the reason I'm saying that it's not unique to the wedding industry is because I keep getting targeted with ads from another wedding coach, and I'll say the person's name, but in the ad it talks about how the wedding industry is unique to every other, and you've got to do things in a complete unique way, and I actually completely disagree with that in a way, and I think a lot of the time it's a bit of an excuse when people aren't getting leads. And the Thunderdome system, it's about delivering your content and getting eyes on your content. And I'm not going to go off track here and talk about ghosting and stuff and follow process and things, but people in the wedding industry seem to think that it's done differently. Well, it's not. There's proven
Yeah.
systems that's worked for hundreds of years. Well, not hundreds, but there's years and years, and it works across every industry. You've just got to know how to apply it within your own niche. But the structure of everything's the same. And the Thunderdome system, like I said, isn't unique. We're spending $250,000 a month just on one account running it, and all the other accounts that we manage, by the way.
Yeah.
No matter what the niche, we run the Thunderdome system because it's not about the industry. It's about optimizing Facebook's data and Facebook's algorithm to go and find the audience that you need to be in front of. And that's why the Thunderdome system is so, so powerful.
Leveraging the algorithm, not fighting it or trying to control it.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know. It's like having a minigun, but trying to force bigger bullets into it, or trying. I don't know. Like that might be a bad analogy, but I just don't. You'll never be smarter than it, so don't try to control it. You need to give it as much ammunition as possible and get out of the way.
Just to give you an example in that, me and Jamie reviewed an ad account just last week on a company that was spending between 30 and 40 grand a month on ads, who are already using another agency. They're not working with us. They just asked us to do a review of the account. Not in the wedding industry, by the way, a complete different niche. But when we reviewed the account, they just weren't optimizing the Facebook ads. They were running nothing like we've just described in this episode. They were doing things like the top of funnel, middle funnel, bottom of funnel, which is really old strategies. And literally on the call, Jamie just gave the guy a bit of advice and said, look, if you do X, Y, and Z, you are going to start seeing results. We've had that guy come back to us and he got the other agency and they've already implemented some of those things. And the results almost halved that quickly just by leveraging and optimizing the
The
algorithm.
result, the lead cost got cut in half
The
just
lead cost.
just purely through efficiency, and that's the kind of I think that's a good demonstration of how we know how efficiency works. That's not even considering the fact that the ads they were making weren't that good, or weren't as good as they could be. That was just this setup of the ad account wasn't ran in an efficient way. But I think that demonstrates we know what efficiency looks like, because obviously when you're spending $250,000 a month of somebody else's money, you better know what you're doing.
Yeah.
So it's just that efficiency setup. It works, and this is the reason we set up the free Facebook group for when photographers and videographers. It's the reason that we go live every week on a Wednesday, is because these things work whether you're spending $250,000 a month or £25 a day or £10 a day. Doesn't matter. The same things work. You just have to know how to do them.
Yeah. And one thing I'd like to kind of wrap up and finish this with, because I seen a comment in one of the Facebook groups saying, basically on the lines of they've tried the Thunderdome system and it didn't work. Facebook ads don't work. That was the message in the group. I got tagged in the thread and stuff, and I was having a bit of a conversation. However, my response to people always is, right, if your Facebook ads didn't work, you need to be able to, if you're saying that, when we ask the question, or you ask yourself the question, why didn't they work? Are you able to answer that question? Because if you can't answer it and you don't know why they didn't work, it means that you've got a problem somewhere down the line and you're blaming Facebook and you don't know why. Yes, absolutely. It could be Facebook that's the problem. It might be your ads. And Jamie's got this famous line that we say to everyone. He always hopes that the problem is the Facebook ads because we're so sure that we can fix it. However, are you grabbing attention with your ads? Are people engaging? Or what's your click-through rate? What's your traffic loss? Are people making it to your website? Is your landing page optimized? What's your follow-up sequence like? How good are you on the phone call or Zoom? You might be getting leads, getting them on call, not booking them, and you'll go, oh, Facebook ads don't work. And it's because you can't sell on the phone. And this isn't like a dig at anyone. It's like, it's important to know where the problems are so you can fix them.
Yeah.
Because if you can't identify where the problems are, you're never ever going to make Facebook ads work when you say they don't work, because it might not be the ads that are the problem. And if it is the ads that are the problem, go in the free Facebook group, get seen, get booked. There's a good chance that you can fix them very quickly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just to wrap the episode up.
I think it's a really, really important point, because you could have the best ads in the world. And this is why in the Wedding Business Accelerator, we have 2 calls a week. One is called before the click and one is called after the click. And on the before the click call, we go through and analyze ads. The after the click call, we analyze everything after the click, because if you've got the best ads in the world, but you're sending them to a shitty website that is confusing and is going to lose them within 10 seconds, or within 5 seconds, because that's about as much time as people will give you, then it doesn't matter how good your ads are. You've got to fix that back end. So that's a really, really, that's almost tattoo worthy. What Billy just said there, I think what you just said there, it's almost tattoo worthy. If something didn't work, you must figure out why. Allow yourself to be curious with it. Don't try not to fall into frustration. Allow yourself to be curious with it. Try to enjoy the process, because the more you actually, the easiest way to enjoy it is to get curious. And if you allow yourself to be curious, you find answers much more easily.
And when we've been coaching people like wedding photographers and videographers inside of the accelerator, like there's been instances where like ads haven't worked, and then it feels like we're almost trying to defend the Facebook ad side of things, but we don't actually care where the problem is. All we care about is identifying where that problem is so we can work on it. And we've done that. And the people who had trouble and they weren't getting leads and weren't getting bookings, that's now changing, and they are getting leads and they are getting bookings, because it's not about a blame culture. It's literally about identifying where the problem is in your customer journey and rectifying it. You might even have multiple bottlenecks where things aren't working, but all it's about is being able to identify what's happening. This is why it's so important to track all of your data. And we'll do another episode on data and tracking and metrics and things like that. But it's important to be able to answer the question is why things aren't working, because you need to be able to fix things to get more leads and to get more bookings. Mm-hmm. Just as a recap, Jamie, anything you want to finish this episode with? Just a recap.
Yeah, allow yourself to be curious. Start creating content and ads around emotional moments to display your competence and authority. Get rid of starting your ads with anything that's about you, because that short circuits emotion. The first thing must be emotion, because remember, human psychology, people buy with emotion, the reason with logic. Your rewards, your accolades, your price, that is all logic. We need to start with emotion. Start there and you'll start on a good footing.
And if you're not a member of the Get Seen, Get Booked Facebook group, go and type that into Facebook or click on the show notes. There's a link. Make sure you join the group. Like Jamie said, we'll go live every week. If you're a new listener to the podcast, go and check out some of the previous episodes. We've had some fantastic guests on already. And please subscribe and leave a review if you are finding this useful. Well, thanks very much for listening, guys. Appreciate it.
See you next week.